Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Tawhid Spiritual Unity of the Three Principles. And today we have a really special guest with us, Ruby Kauser. And we're going to be talking about, she's going to be talking about, or we're going to be exploring together this topic, happiness from Allah, God, divine mind, the most loving, the most kind. So really good to have you here, Robbie. And so for those of you who doesn't know Ruby, Ruby Kauser is internationally renowned as the world's first online inside-out happy marriage coach, and has been coaching Muslim wives for the last 9 years. Would you like to share your story next, or shall I just spoil it for people?
Whichever way I can share
Yeah.
with my story. I could start with my story.
Okay, so I'll just keep it short and give my brief opinion on happiness from Allah. Like for most of my life, I was looking for that feeling that we call happiness, and I was always looking in the wrong place. Like I knew as a born Muslim that happiness is from Allah, but it didn't make sense to me back then, when I was a kid. But with time, when I started my spiritual journey, it started becoming obvious that that feeling of happiness is from this infinite intelligence within us, and it's from Allah, and we are connected to that. And it kind of stopped the search for me to kind of go for it and look for it outside in me going through books, self-development books, and how to be happy, how to be good at this and good at that. And this is what the three principles did for me. It really helped me to kind of open up and see that that beautiful feeling resides within me, and there is nothing outside that could bring that. It can never escape me, and if I think so, that's my thought, right? And yeah, it's really interesting because in nowadays society, when we look around us, we see people looking for that feeling outside most of the time. Either going shopping or wanting that person. So this person could make me feel in any certain way, or eating habits, eating chocolates all the time or whatever. And it's innocent. We all could be caught up in that and get addicted to our thinking that's my feeling of happiness or love. It's coming from that thing out there. And the three principles just showed me that it's always inside. And if only people could see that, to turn inward and see and open up and not be scared, they will wake up to something much, much beyond their their dreams, something that I don't know, like I've never imagined myself like that. And so who was me imagining how would I be in the future? I mean, we can't just put a picture into it. We don't know how we're gonna feel in the future. We don't know how things gonna turn out. And so yeah, it's just amazing to just be in a God's divine presence, and that's happiness for me. That's that feeling of happiness. So over to you, Harry.
Oh, thanks, Omar. You bring up to me what has been the most fascinating expression of the three principles. We know the three principles are applicable to every problem and every situation in the world. But what I've also have loved is the how they fit into the harmony of making Ruby and yourself and Suad into a better person, a deeper, wiser person, and not having to compromise who you are as a Muslim, and how the angle of expression uh, takes me into newness for me. It's always appreciated, but it's like watching something that you don't know about, and how could the three principles apply to what Allah, Muhammad, the Quran say? How could that possibly? I mean, she doesn't even look like a Western woman, in what she's wearing. But as soon as she opens her mouth, you realize the universality of truth and love and stuff. And the other thing I love, Ruby, is that you've developed this in a way that you can help people, that resonates with you in your area of speciality. I know very little about you, but I heard from Catherine that you and her studied under Mamoon when around 2016, and she went in her direction, and you went in your direction, and Mamoon went in his direction, and all three sharing the specialness of how we can all become Tawheed, that spiritual unity, what we started with Omar before we started the show about the specialness. So that's all I really have to say. And I'd love to hear where you'd like to start and your story, and the very fascinating, from a Western perspective, of how Muslim men and women relate in a marriage, which to us is a bit of a mystery, to be honest. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here. And I always start in the name of Allah, the most kind, the most loving. And this is always for the sake of Allah. So it's a beautiful way to start anything, So yeah, my story goes back to long before I came across the principles. It goes back to, I've been searching truth for a very long time. And when I was about in my 30s, 57 now, nearly 58, I had an awakening in the month of Ramadan, and it was pure awakening where I actually felt the truth, felt Allah with me, and I wrote a poem then. It was beautiful. I was feeling the light, and so close with it. And I wrote a poem at that time, and I've still got it. And it kind of still shows me that I was actually searching for truth years ago. So it's really not coming from a marriage, but just wanting to search for truth. So years went by, and I got married for the second time, because I had been married when I was early in my 20s, which didn't work out. That was a forced marriage, which means that I was not asked of my choice whether I wanted to get married or not. This is different from an arranged marriage, which you are actually asked, by your parents, if whoever they've chosen, whether their daughter or son is willing to marry them or not. And then the daughter and son can then reply whether they want to or not. So they have a choice. In my case, in my first marriage, I wasn't given a choice. I was the age of 14, where my parents thought best that I would marry my cousin who was abroad. So literally I was engaged at the age of 14. And the marriage didn't take place straight away because in those days it took time for someone to actually come over from another country, and it was a long process that took place. Now the application failed, so that just wasted more time. So eventually I got married at the age of, I think it was 19, 20. And so this was a failed marriage straight away because I just felt I had to please my parents. I had to be this dutiful daughter that my parents expected me to be. I had no idea at that time of what Islam says at all. I didn't know what my rights were as a Muslim. And so the only thing I knew that that's what all Muslim daughters did. They, you know, listen to their parents and, you know, you go along with whatever they want you to do. So when I got married the first time, obviously it wasn't my choice. It didn't work out, and just didn't really want to be with it. And he was a lot older than me at the time, 10 years older. And I wanted to break the marriage many times. I wanted to kind of like, you know, just tell my mother, especially because he was from my mum's side. But I really couldn't get myself to do it because that would break my mum's heart, and I didn't want to break her heart and make her unhappy. And so this went on for about 6 years. I didn't have any children because that was a conscious choice that I wasn't happy. And then I just looked for escape routes like studying and going on to do a degree and teaching and all that kind of thing. So cut a story long short, because it is a very long story, I'm going to keep it very brief. That like after 6 years, I made a decision to actually tell my parents that I was going to leave my husband. And my mum didn't take it lightly. They didn't want to accept it. And that means my mum would have a backlash from her own brother, etc., etc. And so what I had to do was then leave the family. I moved away, and this was a massive thing for me because I'd never seen anybody out of town. And so I actually left my family. I went to go and live with another female friend. And it took another, I'd say 5-10 years of my time trying to convince my parents that I didn't want to stay married with my husband. And in that time, I had a breakdown. In that time, there was a lot of horrible, depressed state, anger, and so yeah, a lot happened. So finally, I got the divorce after much battle, and then I had a time out. Really, I didn't want to get married again, and so, but I eventually did, and I vowed to myself that I would never get married from abroad, and this was like that for a long time. And then eventually my mum said, yes, there is somebody else. This time it wasn't forced. This time it was a choice. This time it's like, well, you can go and see me if you want, and it's up to you. I kept saying no because I didn't really want to be part of, you know, families, cousins, all that kind of thing. But then just to get my mum off my back, I thought, you know what, I'll go and see him. And then if no, then I'll just come back and that's it. So eventually, after about 3-4 years after saying no to the second person that my mum had, was kind of deciding, I went along, and this is going back to Pakistan, and I actually saw him at the airport, and I felt he was the one. Nobody told me, nobody forced me, and my heart was just saying, he's the one. And I got married within 3 weeks. Yeah, like it was so fast. And he was the one, and I had no regrets or anything. It was a quick marriage, and absolutely happy. And so yeah, I got married, then I came back, and then it took another obviously years to get him here because of the application. And then when he got here, after a while, everything was good, everything was happy. Then things started to not go good. And I started to feel that I had made the wrong decision because I felt that he was not giving me time, he was not listening to me, he was not giving me attention, he was this, he was that, and not helping around the house, all these things, right? And so, oh my God, what have I done, right? So this is like me, because I'd made the choice, it was my decision, and I thought, second time round, oh no. And so we had massive arguments all the time. I used to rage. I was so angry at times. It was like a volcano erupting, right? And it could be just out of nowhere, you know, just very, very simple sort of things. And, you know, just not giving me attention. He can be on the phone all day, but you haven't got time for me. And all that kind of thing. And so even if you looked at somebody, I was like, oh my God, why are you looking at this person? And so this anger, this like used to just evolve. And I can remember just arguments like every single few weeks, constant. And then came a time when I thought, right, this can't go on. I felt, because I'm a lot older than him as well, I'm a lot older than my husband, like 13 years older. And I thought, right, okay, he's going to leave me. That's what I kept thinking, right? He's going to go. The divorce is just around the corner, because I said the word so many times. And I literally thought that my marriage had finished and we were headed for divorce, and he was going to leave me, and that was it. And so I tried to get him to like listen, speak to the family. I did everything. It was like trying to get some counseling. I thought, you've got a communication problem, and really you need to just level up. You need to get help. You need to get support. You need to, you know, otherwise we just finished. And so it was like you. And I really then thought that was it. I'd done all the personal development books. I've read everything. I've gone on Google. You try and get all the information, nothing. And it was just like nothing was working, you know. I went to imams. Imams in our religion are like the center people you go to problems. Like if you've got problems in your marriage or whatever, they kind of like speak to both the couple, you know, each person, and try and put things right. Well, that didn't work. That just even made things worse. I then try to think, you know what, maybe I need to be a better Muslim. Maybe I'm not doing my prayers. Maybe I'm not reading the Quran. And so I was vigilant in trying to get, you know, my prayers done on time, read the Quran every day, and really be this good Muslim. Maybe, you know, that's the thing that Allah wants me to do in order to, you know, for my marriage to get better, because, you know, make some du'as, make some prayer, you know, to Allah. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen. And it was at that point when I really sat down and I said, do you know what? It's like, what is this? Like, why am I getting hungry? Why am I like constantly getting emotional? What is going on? Like, I really, really wanted answers. I said, how is it possible for me as a Muslim to be reading the Quran, doing the prayers, doing all what Allah wants me to be, yet my marriage is failing? It's like, you know, I'm on the verge of divorce. How is that possible? So it's like, because, you know, I'm doing everything. And I think this is where I felt despair. This is where I felt absolutely, totally like what is the purpose of doing the prayer? What is the purpose of doing the Quran? When I, you know, emotionally, I'm just erupting every day. And so I wanted answers. And I just felt the only way would be to get close to Allah. I felt I needed to get close to it. I felt that was the only thing left. Maybe I'm not close to him, but I've tried like Quran and prayer. And this was a moment when I was in the middle of writing my book then. I wanted to write. I'm a writer, so it's like I was trying to write a book and all that. And that's when I reached out. I went online. I saw Mamoon's Instant Assam program. I bought it straight away. Didn't get coaching yet, just got the program. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was just like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting all my life. And because I'd already had an awakening before that, so I kind of just could connect it somehow. Something just resonated with me. And that was it. The rest is history. I had coaching, which is not the coaching itself, because I've got to say that it's just like, you can have many coaches, it doesn't really matter. But it's I heard the truth from the depth of my soul, of mind, soul, heart, whatever you want to call it. And I heard the truth from the deep, you know, the depth of my soul, which was that every single feeling that I was experiencing was coming via thought from Allah. It was coming from Him. Like, my happiness was from Him. Every single feeling, all feelings, Allah has created me with every feeling. And it's not coming from anywhere outside of me. Everything is coming from within, which, you know, this was the mind-blowing moment where I saw truth. But when, prior to this, and my moon was like saying, you know what, like feeling coming from thought. I thought, what are you talking about? I've got the crown. It's like, this is the only book on the face of the earth that's like telling me truth. And I didn't want to listen to him. I didn't want to hear what he had to say really initially, because I was hanging on to what I knew that was truth. And I was not prepared to look at anything else. But then there was a moment where I went through, was like, you know what? What if I put the ground down temporarily and I just sort of listen to truth? And this was a golden moment, because, you know, putting the crown down is a big thing. It's like saying, you know what, so I just put, I thought, temporarily, I'm going to put it down. I'm not rejecting it. I'm just putting it down temporarily. And then I listened to truth. And that's how it started, the mind-blowing truth. Then my moment came, and it was profound. I'll just share with you, I was ready to literally kill my husband. I mean, I don't mean kill him, but I was so angry. I was waiting for him to come home so I could just tell him how wrong he was, how he needs to change, all this kind of thing, right? So preparing myself. And so when he got home, I decided not to say anything. I decided not to communicate. And I was like, shall I not? Shall I not? And then I had a like a thought, and I thought, what if I trusted Allah? What if that's truth? What if I just trust Allah and not speak to him at the moment? And this was like I can just explain it like surrender. It's like a acceptance, surrender. It's like I'm on the cliff and jumping off, but Allah's there to save me. So it's like it's actually jumping off that cliff, taking a step forward, knowing that Allah is there. And from that moment onwards, there was just insight after insight after insight after insight.
It's like their whole world changed. Like
completely.
Like it has for so many in this room.
Yeah. I found myself looking from inside out. I could actually see myself looking from the inside out. And that also connected me to the rest of humanity.
Sorry, I missed that. Connected you to
everybody.
Oh, okay.
Humanity. Every single human being on the planet. I felt connected to each one. And I thought, oh, wow. This is the oneness that Allah talks about. The oneness. Like we are one. And I've always been saying that in the past, we are one. But I was actually seeing it so clearly that we are one. And there is no separation between us at all. And it's like one spirit. And it was just mind-blowing. And I just captured all these insights, like one after the other, like I said. It was like I'd come from another world into another world. I thought, wow. I had no one to speak to then, Harry. There was no groups. It was quite scary. Like I thought, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? Like, because it was just like I felt peaceful. But at the same time, it's like you're kind of like going in the depth of an ocean. It's quite scary as you're going more and more deep. But you want to get to the bottom of the bed of the ocean. And I just wanted to go to the bottom, even though it felt
And
scary.
you taste your own ability to do that. It's strange, but what I feel in your image is the truth of we are afraid, but that is a thought as well, and we have to trust the purity of what is experienced. It will take us where we go, and we are part of that, it being successful. And that I can just feel it just freed you of, like, each time you went a step deeper, it freed you from these thoughts or spider webs or tentacles of the octopus, and it just unwrapped. And that's what I love about when people experience truth, is they find their own power, their own, and we have to have that, or else we're still a victim of the outside. We have to taste and feel our own power. And it turns out to be freedom, or you use the word surrender.
Freedom, surrender, they're all the same words.
I love that. Thank you, Ruby. You know, when you mentioned surrender, you reminded me that actually, Islam is surrendering. Like, we really misunderstand most of us our religion, particularly like because we were just taught to, pray and the law of Sharia, and we actually miss the point of what the religion is all about, and it's about surrendering. Because now I see that when we surrender, it leads us to selflessness, and that is the goal of faith. And I think all religious revelation, to lead a human being beyond selfishness, beyond ego, beyond arrogance, beyond pride, beyond hatred, and that is the path to God's,
in her
God's
case,
presence.
beyond anger, in what she was
So the path to God, or I see my religion, Islam, like is going beyond the self, beyond the ego, with surrendering. And we actually forget that, or we don't know about this. If we just read the words in the Quran, it might happen one day, but most of the time we are just thought to do certain things, and sometimes we just explain them the way we hear how people explain them to us. And so it's really important to kind of listen in for an insight, to see what's what we see about that yourself, your true self, and not just follow what people say. And I think this is one of the reasons why Ruby couldn't actually put the Quran aside for a while, because in her mind, and I'll do the same if I was in her shoes, I'll do the same thing. In her mind, that was the truth, and disregarded anything else. But even in the Quran, there is an ayah that says, which means hear different talks and follow the best of them, from different people, from different religions. And so we could hear truth in anything, and that's just amazing to hear and know, for Muslims, for all religions.
So that brings a good question, Ruby. How did you connect the two worlds of the three principles and the beautiful teachings of the Quran and their connection? Because of course, Sid would say connecting to Allah is indeed his message as well. How did you, when did you start to really bring those two worlds into one and start to express it in your field of expertise, or your field of development in marriage counseling, etc.?
Yeah, great question. As I was getting insightful experience, you know, and my world was changing. There was peace in the home, probably one argument in a year. It's like, you know, literally. And I went back to the Quran. I started to read the Quran again, from beginning to end, every single day. And absolutely, it was like seeing the verses that I'd read so many times in a different light. So, for example, I had read, Allah does not change the condition of the people until they change what is inside themselves. That to me was like, Allah wants me to look within. And Sydney Banks says the same, look within. And it's like, the truth is not out there. And so this was something that kind of like two related, you know, where I thought, wow, I've read this verse so many times, but I just see it in a different way. I just see it so clearly. You know, clarity of verses started to show up more, what I was reading. Another one is, verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts find tranquility, peace. And the more we remember truth, we come back to truth, you know, then the more I remember Allah, even though when I do prayers, that's the purpose of doing prayers 5 times a day, is to bring God to mind, bringing, you know, doing zikr, which is repeating Allah's names, bringing it back to the present moment. It's all the same thing. It's bringing back truth here and now. And Allah is in this moment right now. And this just, you know, for me to see that, oh, wow, presence here right now. Allah's with me right now. Before I was like, oh, I have to be somewhere. I have to get close to Allah.
Or do something.
Do something. I need to reach somewhere. I was kind of like traveling and trying to get somewhere. I have to get close to Allah. Now, I don't need to do that anymore.
Did the 3 principles help you to understand that?
Yes. It's like the awareness, the consciousness, being aware, waking up, it helped me to see, the 3 principles helped me to see that the ego, we call it the ego, right? In Islam, we call it the nafs. The nafs. And there is a level of nafs. You've got the lower self and the higher self, like nafs. And the ego is, you know, in terms of the arrogance, how we are better than other people, that kind of thing, being right. And this was huge. There's so many things, Harry, that I can't even count them on my fingers. That the three principles help me to see truth in my faith. Huge, so many. And I feel so blessed. That I was guided to the three principles. Because without that, I would still be searching for, even though I know the search is never finished because we're still on a journey. But my search for happiness elsewhere ended. My happiness did not come from anywhere other than my thinking in the moment via Allah. It did not come from anywhere. And that was not even 90%, not 98%, it was 100%. And not just for me, I also had the insight, the awareness that I'm not responsible for the people making happy either. Because I used to feel so guilty. Like if I had a conflict with somebody, I felt really, really bad. I felt so guilty, and I thought, oh wow, I'm not responsible for making anybody happy. And that was a huge weight off my shoulders. And so
would you say, like relating to your marriage counseling, that feeling that you had, that beautiful feeling you were talking, is that what you're teaching people they're going to find to help them in a woman who's in a similar situation as yourself?
Yeah, I mean, what I share is truth. And the truth is, happiness can only come from Allah by a thought, right? Now, what happens is, even though we Muslims know this truth, but deep down, when I really coached them, this is where I was, I thought I was waiting for my husband to change before I could feel happy. I was waiting. Even though I know happiness comes from Allah, I knew that. But I didn't see it as clear as I do now, which is, oh my God, like I was waiting for my husband to do something, and then I would feel happy. That meant, even though I knew happiness came from Allah, I was still assigning my husband as a reason to make me happy, which means that I was making my husband equal to Allah by making me happy. And that was a big game changer. I thought, oh my goodness, oh wow.
Oh, I thought I was God. What do you mean?
Like my husband was responsible for making me happy. I'm making him equal to Allah. And that was a huge, huge shift. And this is a shift that I teach my students, because they all know where happiness comes from. You ask them, you know, does happiness come from Allah? They're going to tell you, yeah. But deep down, they are trying to change their husband in order to feel happy. And I sent out a real video, my first one ever, on this topic of happiness comes from Allah. And it's a lie that it comes from, elsewhere. And had 350,000 views on it. Because they know the truth. They know the truth, happiness comes from Allah. And then they're still asking me, well, how is it possible? Please tell me how can I be happy? But they all know happiness comes from Allah. But that consciousness has not gone up a notch. That awareness of where feelings actually come from has not happened yet. And that's what I teach. Because it's the truth that I teach. And they're all waiting for some techniques and tools and tips and blah, blah. And when they come to me, I say, no, I've only got truth to share. And at first I get, oh my God, this is just crazy. Like, what? Tell me something to do. And I'm like saying, there's nothing to do. And it blows their mind when I say that. But after a while, they kind of like start to have insights. And they start to get peaceful. They start to get happy for no reason. And all of a sudden, there's change in the marriage. And they want to know more.
Always, because it's so tasty.
Yeah. And then they realize, oh my God, where I was fighting with you, but I'm no longer fighting with you. Because they are where they are. And that's okay. And the one who wants to seek truth shall find. It's beautiful. Now, that's not for everybody. I'll find some people, yeah, but that somebody else is really getting it, but you know what's wrong with me? I'll say there's nothing wrong with you. This is not about comparing yourself to somebody else. Each one of you are on your own journey. And it's absolutely beautiful. There's nothing more than me sharing truth in this life. Nothing more. I feel so blessed. I think I give blessings to Sydney Banks and almost like so many times, because I really, really feel blessed. I really feel blessed to be here with everybody here. I feel blessed people who've been on my journey to help me to point towards truth. And now I'm doing the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a Muslim or non-Muslim. It doesn't matter, because truth, everybody knows. And sharing it is just like a reminder. It's like a reminder to all, oh, our feelings of happiness, love, joy, contentment is, everybody's got access to it. We all have the same access to wisdom. We all have the same access to love and purity. We all have the same access. And this is so beautiful, which there's nothing more I'd rather do. I gave up my job. I've been working in my job, working with women with marital problems, domestic abuse for 20 odd years. And I gave that up. I thought, yeah, I even though that job has been good, but I used to coach them with this very truth. And there's so many women who were in abusive situations, who'd been in there years, and these were non-Muslim women. And they heard the truth, and all of a sudden they're making decisions what's good for their life, what they want. As opposed before that, just stuck in this illusion.
Yeah, you know, when you were talking and you mentioned you saw that the man was not God, you were seeing God in the human man, your husband, rather than in Allah. And when Omar was talking about surrender, you could see at that point you surrendered a belief that was holding you prisoner, and you saw the truth, which is another way of describing surrender or connecting to Allah, but on a practical level, on my level, that changes me. And then when you're talking about what you're just talking about, you can see these women are doing the same thing. They're surrendering a belief that they had that was holding them prisoner. And all of a sudden, that clarity comes in. I say you start doctoring yourself. That's just my words. And you step into a whole new world. And sharing, which you have emphasized on a high level, is then the most natural thing in the world, because it automatically leads to more good feelings automatically. And yeah, we feel blessed. Aren't we the lucky ones?
Yeah, I really was just telling them today, because I was coaching them today, and I said, you're all blessed. You know, you're just blessed to be here. And you know, because I talk about truth, and you know, we talk about illusion, right? We talk about ego. And to me, there's nothing to let go. There is no ego. There is a veil. I call it a veil. Same thing. Veil, illusion, ego. And we have nothing to let go. There is nothing to do. Ego is all kind of like made up. We make it up. And how can there be anything to let go when nothing exists? There's nothing to let go because there is no ego. And you know, we say, well, yeah, we've got all these thoughts and whatever, but if all these thoughts are made up, which are illusory thoughts that we make up, what is there to let go? They don't exist at all. And all there is truth. And the only covering of truth is an illusion, which stops us seeing truth like, oh, we're separate from, you know, truth. No, we're not. So there's a whole weight off the shoulders when, oh, well, there's nothing to let go. Because I hear that so many times, like, let go. What? Let go of what? Nothing to let go. We are spiritual beings. And who we really are, we are infinite consciousness.
And the more we're aware of it and acknowledge it and live in it, the more shares with us what it is.
Yeah.
I
Just
love
when you
that.
think
I
you
love
know
that.
what is.
It proves itself to us. It was just waiting for us to do nothing.
It is, because when I first heard do nothing, I thought, what? How is that possible? Do nothing? Like, like, what do you mean do nothing? I didn't get it when I first heard that. And I thought, what is that? And then I had an insight at one point. I thought, oh wow, this is not too long ago, because I used to think, oh yeah, ego, I've got to let go of all my thinking, blah blah blah. No, there's nothing to let go. There's infinite power that we access to create illusion. And it really is beautiful when you can see the veil lifts and all there is beauty. All there is our real true self. And Tawheed is the most beautiful word ever. It's the center. It's the oneness of all. And the oneness of all is who we really are, until we cover ourselves with the veil again. The veil doesn't exist, but we think it does. And this is the most beautiful, when Sydney Banks talks about the form and the formless, and they're all one. They're not separate.
And he starts there and goes deeper into this nothingness.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Sid. He starts there. We end there. He starts there. And then what you're sharing is you are starting there too, and going into it the way you're lucky enough to express it.
Yeah, I mean, when I first realized that my happiness came from within, like from Allah, Harry, I cried for days. I literally cried for days. I thought, wow, it's just blown my mind. It's like, to know that I've been searching something my whole life, and it's nowhere else other than you, the divine. And it's not coming from my parents, it's not coming from anywhere. So because you're just searching for that love from your husband, you're searching for love from your children, you're searching for love from your parents, like everywhere, you're searching for it. And only when you see and become aware of the source of love, pure love, there's no more searching.
And Sid defines pure love as pure mind, pure thought, pure consciousness. Each one of those equals pure love. And that's actually, to quote Jim Beck, that's what we're talking about, unconditional love.
Yeah. I used to ponder at one point, how can I give unconditional love to someone? It's like, usually it's give and take. Well, I'll do something for you and you do something for me. Oh yeah, I'll love you if you love me back, kind of thing. Nah, it doesn't happen anymore. I'll just do it. Not all the time, because sometimes, I look at my husband and I think, oh no. But
what a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's how can we as human beings look at, like, to use Ruby's example, look at her husband, what a mess, change her thought and see the most beautiful person, the most loving person in her life, how lucky she is. In 1 second to change that perception, just with truth, to use your words, truth, Ruby.
Yeah.
Just amazing. I'm always amazed at how easy it is once you've done it. And how what an obstacle it appears. It
Yeah.
almost the hardest thing in life is you live in an incredible reality, and for a second, a millisecond, you're in this heavy feeling, and the first impression is it's going to last forever, but you've tasted so much of the fruit that you know that's not true, and that gives you the effortlessness to slip it to, oh, he is a beautiful, beautiful expression of Allah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's without the 3 principles, I really wouldn't be where I am now.
None of us, to be honest.
And as a Muslim, I wouldn't be where I am now. The way I see my prayers, the way I see the Quran, the way I, it's like all the heavy lifting's been done, and I get to enjoy, I get to live, I get to share peace, to share light, to share joy, to share happiness. What a wonderful gift to share.
The best. Imagine we can live even beyond our dreams and share with other people and hear their dreams. And where they take us, together we walk.
Can I share a poem that I wrote?
A good way to finish, Ruby, a good way to finish our go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah. So because I wanted to capture my experience, what I was having. So my poem is called, this is after me seeing truth. The one I've written before, I can share that as well if you want me to, but I'm conscious of time. It's called I've Come Home. Years of living in the prison of illusion. Years of being deceived and easily fooled. I wander blindly in the dark, heavily attached and dependent upon the world for false happiness and false love. Always living in the world of fear, always hungry for attention and appreciation. Always feeling I'm not worthy or feeling not good enough. Suddenly in the distance, a glimpse of light, a shimmer of hope. I see the missing jigsaw finally in place. A lifetime yearning for truth reaches its end. The need to chase, control, compete is over. A lifetime of self-blame, guilt, and shame is over. A long, weary battle finally accepts its defeat. As I exchange my heavy burden of pain with courage, acceptance, and surrender, I take off like a bird into the unknown, breathing my first air of freedom. suddenly the world appears different, even though it has not changed. The mist and clouds melting away to reveal a sharp, clear, and spectacular view. I soar higher and higher into the sky, feeling blessed and true power like no other. Tears capture this moment, my moment, that I want to treasure forever. Tears that melt in the river of mercy, in the river that's the most kind, the most loving. Tears of gratitude, which would never be enough, even if they filled all the seas in the world and beyond. Thanking my Lord for bringing me to a place of pure peace, pure love, and pure happiness. A place which is my birthright, my home, my true self.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Oh, absolutely. Wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. And Sharon, I know it's 10 past 10 in the UK, and it's 10 past 9 here in Casablanca. So thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom. It's been a pleasure hearing your story. And you know, what you shared, the feeling is just amazing. And I think I'm not the only one here. So thank you, and thanks for our attendees. And we shall see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And we'll make this.
Is there any questions, anybody who may have wanted anything to say anything?
Just we want to thank you.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful call. And thank you for sharing all these beautiful words. Thank you. It was amazing. A lot of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
What about from the just to bring shame to Jim and Roz? They are getting married in a month, and those feelings that you express, they're living it, and I say that with all honesty and sincerity within that regard. And but the feelings, Ruby, that you're sharing, they're deep, profound, and they come. They Allah, whatever that is proud.
Can I express my congratulations to the happy couple who are getting married?
The youngsters over there? Yeah, go ahead.
Mwah, Meg. Have you a beautiful, beautiful wedding?
Yeah.
Lovely news.
Congratulations, and have a beautiful wedding, James and Rose. Our beautiful young couple here. I think they are the youngest. So
Waiting for you, Omar.
James, I'm old, so it's too late for me. James, I hear you want to say something. You're muted.
Oh, I can't unmute. I cannot unmute my phone.
Yeah, Jim wants to say something here.
Sure. Just thanks so much for the sharing.
Check this out. Check this out. Just got an echo in here. There you go.
Thanks that was just beautiful. That was so dead on, perfect. It doesn't get any better than that. That's pure truth coming. My fiance and I have just treasured this time. We love it so much. It's an honor to be here and hear you.
I agree.
That's not my fiance, by the way.
Phew, thank goodness for that. You're not making a move, eh? Okay, good. Okay, just joking. Just joking. Yeah. Yeah. But what Jim says is true. With beautiful, Ruby, very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it was so, just the whole feeling of describing what you went through. But then once you got into who you are and what you are now, and the feelings that you see Allah expressing through you, you know, it always amazes me how people can be religious and wise. You know, I know that sounds funny, but
Yeah.
when the two worlds come one, it's beautiful. And it's same thing with Omar. It brings the two worlds into one. It's beautiful. And Suad, of course, as well. Yeah. And you too, Joe, the two worlds into one. Yeah. So, yeah, and it is special, by the way, that Jim and Roz are getting married in a month. And they are quite turned on by it. Yeah, to say the least. Yesterday, Roz, I started to talk a little bit about the wedding, and Roz she's turned and started to look like a 16-year-old girl, little girl. You know, she was hiding it, but it kept coming out. And so she just started looking younger, with the feeling of love. When it works in a marriage, the best, the absolute best. And Suad, with your feelings, with what you're going through, with helping your husband now, it's still the best. He needs you. You're there. That's beautiful.
Great. And with that beautiful feeling, I will leave you all, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Nice to see you, Omar. Really nice.
Nice to see you too, Harry.
Yeah.
Take care.